So hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 1 of our F1 Manager 24 creator team here on the channel. Now if you didn't watch the save reveal, go back and watch that one, because you will understand why Team Lotus F1 are back in Formula 1, and it's going to be a very, very exciting time trying to bring Lotus back to the front of Formula 1 and add to the World Championships. Now, you'll notice in front of us straight away we're going to get stuck into the drivers, because there is a story behind each of these. Liam Lawson, obviously a Red Bull Academy driver. This guy has joined us because we have taken on board the Honda Red Bull powertrain. Historically, Honda was an engine supplier for Team Lotus, and having that link with Liam Lawson, it meant we got two big benefits. We got a very good powertrain and we got a very good young driver in Liam Lawson, who we are happy to have. Now we are back in F1. And Enzo Fittipaldi, whose grandfather Emerson Fittipaldi drove for Team Lotus F1 all the way back in 1970, making his debut at the British Grand Prix. Supporting these two young drivers will be Stuart King and Carlo Cristofori, two race engineers in Formula 2 at this moment. If we go on to the rest of the staff, we've got Yves Pestile, technical chief. This is a generated member of staff, as is Michael Kolev, who is the head of dynamics, and Jeremy Cottrell, the sporting director, real life. But we didn't want to pinch anyone from the other F1 teams and upset the apple cart. So these three are our staff to begin with here at Team Lotus F1, based just down the road now, as you would have seen on that video. We will now move on to the car itself. Now, I know you're dying to see the livery. We've got the sponsor negotiations to come, so this livery will be added to, but let's just have a quick look at the livery as it stands at this moment in time. It is the green and yellow, recognisable with Lotus. I think we've done quite a decent job on it. Obviously, the sponsors are going to change, so it will look very different by the time we get to the opening race of the season, but a decent livery, I think, and one that hopefully will be synonymous with success over the coming seasons. The driver suits are, as you can see on the screen, I think this is a really classic looking driver suit that we're happy to have nicely modelled there by Liam Lawson, it must be said. And the logo, we've done the best to get near a Lotus logo, not going exactly because we don't want any copyright, but that is a decent Lotus logo that will be on the car. Performance-wise, now, we aren't the worst team on the grid. Obviously, we've got some heritage in Formula 1. Lotus did okay when they were in it. It did more than okay. So we are starting as sort of a lower midfield team. We've given ourselves pretty basic facilities, but the car performance overall, we're the 11th best car on the grid. So we're certainly in the mix for the lower points, but not very much at the back of the grid, sort of 10 seconds behind everyone else, because that wouldn't have been very entertaining for you to watch the first season. So that is basically everything as it stands. We will kick off in Sakhir in Bahrain. What we're going to do now is get to the sponsor negotiations. I'll get all the sponsors that we negotiate on the car, and then we'll see you for the opening weekend in Bahrain. So then, ladies and gentlemen, the first race weekend of the season is upon us, and I just want to bring you up to date with a couple of things. So we have negotiated all the sponsorships now, and the car livery does look like this. If we just switch onto it, we've got all his main sponsors on there now: Serpent, Abios, Aperto, all the liveries on it. Not tons. We're not a massive team at this moment in time, so we've got to bear that in mind. But I think the car is looking rather good. Do let me know down in the comments what you think. Also, onto the driver suits as well. You can see there the guys nicely attired. Now, if we just have a quick look at the car performance, Liam Lawson's not particularly happy with the car. Obviously, he's used to driving Red Bull cars. Well, now this is a Red Bull powered Lotus, so hopefully he's going to get to grips with it pretty quickly indeed. We're also just going to have a look at the facilities. We've got the factory on a 2-spec and the design centre as well. The wind tunnel and CFD are on the lowest spec, and the suspension simulator and car part test on 2-spec as well. Staff, we've got a lot of work to do in improving the facilities. We've seen how nice the Lotus factory is in real life. If we're going to do some more shooting on location from that, but we do head to Bahrain for the first Grand Prix weekend of the season. We have got 57 laps around here. Car attributes, it does focus on low speed cornering and medium speed cornering. DRS very powerful around here. It is normally a 2-stop. I'm hoping to get the pit stops very, very smooth on this game. So this is basically it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get through practice, and I shall see you in qualifying for the season opener in Bahrain. What a moment, ladies and gentlemen, you are witnesses as Team Lotus makes its return to Formula 1. We can see the Lotus coming out of the pits. We have sent Fittipaldi out first because we think that it's fitting that Fittipaldi goes out first. Obviously, with the history with his grandfather, and Fittipaldi is the first Lotus driver to be out on track. Liam Lawson is now going to follow. I think that livery looks okay. I think there's much work to be done on it, and I think as we go through the season, we'll add more sponsors, we'll change it up. But as a works F1 team now, this Lotus is looking very, very nice indeed. We'll see how these first flying laps go. Fittipaldi then finishing his first flying qualifying lap as he comes around the final corner. Where is Fittipaldi gonna fit in to proceedings? It's his first lap in anger, and we can see Fittipaldi, of course, is the first man to cross the line. So let's take that moment nicely because we currently top the qualifying stats. Liam Lawson, he's not too far behind, as we can see. We now go on board with Liam Lawson coming up towards the line. What can Liam Lawson do here? Can he beat his teammate Verstappen? We are 1.7 seconds off the pace, but here comes Liam Lawson to cross the line, and he's slower than his teammate. Interesting from Liam Lawson. Verstappen setting the early pace on a 129.7. And here we go then, final laps in Q1, and Liam Lawson and Enzo Fittipaldi are both in danger. Liam Lawson in P17 currently. Could he possibly be knocked out in the first qualifying of the season? Let's have a look. Liam Lawson up to the line, only good enough for P16, and Fittipaldi is in at P12. Fittipaldi's through to Q2. Liam Lawson is also through to Q2 because, of course, we've got 22 cars, and P16 guarantees you that you will be through to Q2. A little bit of an admin error there, but we've still got a couple of cars on track, and as we fast forward, Tsunoda could knock him out, and he does. Lawson is out in Q1, but Fittipaldi through to Q2. Final lap in Q2 then, and we can see Fittipaldi in P14 at the moment. He's green through the first and second sectors. Could he possibly get in to Q3? That would be an unbelievable achievement on his Formula 1 debut. Fittipaldi comes up to the line. He's good enough for P13 at this moment in time. As we fast forward on, is Hulkenberg going to improve? He is. P14 for Fittipaldi isn't bad at all, but as we would have probably guessed, Max Verstappen is on pole, Charles Leclerc in P2, but going into Q3 that can all change. Right then, guys, strategy time. So we are going to split the strategy slightly. So Fittipaldi is going to start on the softs, go on to another set of softs, and then onto the mediums. Liam Lawson starting on the softs, then going on to the mediums, then going on to another set of softs at the end. It just means we can stagger the pit stops a little bit. But P14, P17, let's get to 5 red lights.
You're witnessing a new chapter in Formula 1 as 11 teams line up on the grid. A chance to see just what Charles Leclerc can achieve here.
A second place start for them today. They'll be aiming for a podium, but could they even sneak the win?
This should certainly be a good one, folks. This is it. 22 cars on the grid. It's lights out and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away we are keeping an eye on our two drivers because Fittipaldi got a decent start up against Hulkenberg, it must be said, and Liam Lawson also looks like he got a decent run. As we go into turn 1, Verstappen is leading away from Leclerc and Norris. It's a change of places at the front, but Liam Lawson looks like he's got past Magnussen, and he's now chasing after the bike of Fittipaldi because Fittipaldi is side by side with Alexander Albon. It's a drag race all the way up towards turn 3. Look at that aggressiveness from Lawson there. Fittipaldi decides to back out of it, but Lawson sits in behind him as we start lap 1 of this new season. The Red Bull of Max Verstappen leads away from Leclerc. Then comes Lando Norris and Piastri. Sainz in P5. Russell in P6. Perez in P7. Then comes Yuki Tsunoda in the RB in P8. Then comes Alonso in P9 and Ricciardo in P10. But as it stands at this moment, the two Lotus running P15 and P16. Lap 2, and we've got our first overtake, but sadly it's Kevin Magnussen overtaking Liam Lawson, and we've got the cockpit camera there, so it looks like this year the director is going to be the computer rather than me. But Kevin Magnussen managing to get the job done. But you can see in front, I think we've just had our first overtake as a team as well, because it looks like Enzo Fittipaldi has managed to get past Alexander Albon, and he's now up into P14. So the first overtake for Team Lotus comes from Fittipaldi. Very fitting indeed for the young man. Lawson back down to P17. He'll be disappointed with that being sat back behind the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. I think this livery does need a few more sponsors. Looking at it now, I think when we return after this first race, hopefully we can get a few more in. But at the moment, we're settling in rather well for this race. But Max Verstappen running away 1.1 seconds. He's broken the DRS of Lando Norris. Liam Lawson wasn't happy with Kevin Magnussen overtaking him. He moves to the outside. He's later on the brakes, and to be fair, that is a beautiful move by the young Red Bull driver. Fantastic from Liam Lawson. He made a lovely move around the outside there, and Lawson is now back up into P16. And to be fair, we are going to push him on now and try and catch him up to the back of his teammate, because Fittipaldi is doing rather well indeed. He's just sticking onto the back of Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg's just about staying in DRS, and at the moment we're quite happy with the way things are progressing here under the lights in Bahrain. This is not a bad debut at all for Team Lotus in P14. We're just checking out a few more of the new camera angles, but yeah, sticking DRS, that's all we can do. Piastri now has managed to close the gap on Max Verstappen. We've got the new helicopter camera here, or a drone camera. Maybe it's a little bit more modern than a helicopter at this moment, but the two McLarens are chasing after Verstappen, but Verstappen looks like he's got it in control. But Fittipaldi now looks like he's managed to overtake Hulkenberg. Are we going to get a replay of this? We certainly are. Here is Fittipaldi overtaking the Haas, gets the DRS, and look at this for a move from the rookie into the left-hander, and it's job done from Fittipaldi. Beautiful work from him. He's up into P13, and now he's got to push on to catch up to Lance Stroll. You join us back on lap 7, and we have got a new race leader. Oscar Piastri in the McLaren is now leading from Max Verstappen. Then comes Leclerc and Sainz. The front five are all in a little DRS train at this moment. Then comes Perez, but looking towards the Team Lotus guys, Fittipaldi's dropped Albon and Hulkenberg beautifully, and he's now just tagging onto the back of Lance Stroll, Hamilton and Ricciardo. He's in a little bit of a DRS train here. One man who is getting very frustrated is Liam Lawson, who's cooped up behind this Haas of Nico Hulkenberg, and he will be very upset that the true rookie is actually outperforming him at the moment in this new team. We've got a very disappointed Liam Lawson on the radio, and this is the reason why, because Liam Lawson going in towards the final corner just locks up. To be fair to him, he managed to keep it just about on track, didn't lose any positions, but did lose out on that DRS train. So disappointing there from Liam Lawson, who's frustrated with himself, and now has got a 3.7 second gap to Hulkenberg. Fittipaldi is running a very nice race indeed, and he's getting all the words of encouragement from his race engineer at the moment. And as you can see at the bottom right, he's asking how the tyres are, and are we going to get a response? It doesn't look like we are, but Fittipaldi at the moment focused on the job at hand. Fittipaldi overtakes Hamilton. Now let's have a look at this. Now this is oh my goodness gracious, what is going on here? He's gone into turn 1. The two cars in front are fighting. Hamilton gets sort of pushed away from it. He's brave, he's fearless, he's possibly a little bit naive from Fittipaldi, but what it has meant is he's now up into P12 and nearly on the back of Yuki Tsunoda. Fittipaldi is on the cusp of points for Team Lotus. And maybe just a little bit short-lived, because Lewis Hamilton obviously clearly wasn't happy with what just happened, and Lewis Hamilton round the outside. It's lovely that when it switches to the helicopter cam, we get absolutely no noise whatsoever, but Lewis Hamilton manages to get the job done. He squeezes Fittipaldi, and there's just a little whoop there from Lewis Hamilton, but we miss the roar of the engine, so let's get a bit of that back, because we can see Fittipaldi now on the back of this little train. This is the battle for P11 at the moment. Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull is in P10 and looking rather comfortable at this moment in time. First pit stop of the season then, and it is Liam Lawson. Fittipaldi's just been overtaken by a very quick Checo Perez, who's already boxed. But into the pits comes Liam Lawson. He obviously knackered his tyres up a little bit, having that lock-up. But we can see, I mean, we're actually just going to have to swap back to this, because Fittipaldi has just overtaken Checo Perez. And once again, we get the helicopter camera with no sound whatsoever. So you're just going to have to pretend about the engine noises. But Fittipaldi is past Checo Perez. And I can do the sound for you. I feel good. Fittipaldi loving life, fighting with Checo Perez. But into the box comes Liam Lawson, and I've got to say, a 2.5-second stop. I'm not convinced, ladies and gentlemen, in all my time at Andretti Cadillac last year that I managed to get a pit stop that quick. So fair play to the Team Lotus boys. Liam Lawson back out in 21st place, but he's on now this medium compounder tyre. It is hammer time for Liam Lawson to push on and try and make up a couple of positions. But Enzo Fittipaldi's frustrating Checo Perez. There are pit stops galore happening on lap 19. Verstappen just coming out of the pits, as is Piastri. Leclerc now goes into the lead of the Grand Prix with Lando Norris. Sainz has already pitted for a set of fresh soft compound tyres. Russell's now in the pits as well. Fittipaldi's going to be coming in possibly the next lap. But at the moment, Fittipaldi doing just enough. He's managed his tyres beautifully on this first stint. Liam Lawson come out in P20, and he's now fighting with Kevin Magnussen once again. And this time, he's going to get DRS down the start-finish straight. I'd expect an overtake very shortly. I'd expect an overtake very shortly. It was the last statement, and the overtake certainly came. Liam Lawson managing to get past the Haas that's on the hard compounder tyre, and that is lovely work from Liam Lawson on those mediums now. He's having to make these tyres work now because he's got a long way to go on these tyres before he gets to his next soft stint, because obviously he had to come in a little bit earlier than we'd originally planned. So Liam Lawson at the minute back down in P17 behind Magnussen once again. He should be able to get past him pretty quickly. Fittipaldi is in this lap, and we are going to ride on board with Fittipaldi as he comes into the pit lane. That has been as good a first stint from a rookie as you are likely to see. He's been so impressive in that first stint. I think we can be really happy. Let me know down in the comments how you think he's doing so far. But we are right at the very end of the pit lane here as Fittipaldi goes motoring into the pit box. Let's hope we get a decent stop here. It looks like we're going to do 2.6 seconds. It's not bad at all. We will take that all day long. Now, where is Liam Lawson? He's still chasing after Kevin Magnussen, so Fittipaldi will come out in front of him, and he's out in P15 now on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. It's got to be said, I might have expected a little bit more from Liam Lawson here, but Esteban Ocon now has managed to get past him as well. And into turn one, let's just have a little look at this. He's later on the brakes. He's on the hard compound tyre, worryingly. Sorry, he's on the soft compound tyre, we can see. So a little bit less worrying. Awesome from Esteban Ocon. I'm not impressed with the fact that we don't get any sound when we're in that camera mode. But again, we ride on board with Fittipaldi, who's pushing on these tyres, making them work. He's using all of the track to try and gain on Albon in front of him. Who's he got in front of him that's not pit? Hulkenberg's not pit yet, so he's got him to get back in front of. He's in the fight for points today, is Fittipaldi. We can see at the front Sainz and Verstappen going at it. Verstappen has got DRS now. Is there going to be an overtake here as we switch onto the cockpit cam? Max Verstappen going down the inside, and it's a lovely move on Carlos Sainz, and he gets in to P1, although they're still side by side, and Sainz is keeping onto it here. Is Carlos Sainz going to manage to keep P1? He certainly is. Fittipaldi now just being told to calm down a little bit on his tyres. Liam Lawson running in P18. A very interesting thing has just happened here, because Nico Hulkenberg has pit and he's got past Liam Lawson. This is Liam Lawson, you can see on the left-hand side. Now, Liam Lawson at the moment, he's not comfortable driving this Team Lotus car, it must be said. Now, the interesting thing is that when that overtake was made, the message from Steve King, his race engineer, was not go and get him back. The message was Bottas is behind you. He's seeing his driver fall back through the pack at this moment in time, and it is so disappointing when Fittipaldi, the total rookie, is at the moment in P14, and he's lapping. If we have a look at the difference in lap times, a 1:38.2 plays a 1:38.7. Lawson is half a second slower than Fittipaldi. Now, maybe you heard me that I wasn't too happy with him, because Liam Lawson did manage to get past the Haas. As we can see, DRS, he's shown moments today, Liam Lawson, but at this moment in time, it's not quite enough. But Liam Lawson now back up into P17, I believe that is. Now it is. He's 2.9 seconds away from Hulkenberg. Fittipaldi's 3.3 seconds away from Albon. There's not too much happening at this moment in time for the Lotus guys, but Carlos Sainz is now leading the way on the soft compounded tyre. He's 3.4 seconds ahead of Verstappen, who is all over the back of his teammate Charles Leclerc, I should say. Oscar Piastri in P4, Norris is in P5, then there's a big gap to Russell and Perez in P6 and 7, Alonso in P8, then comes Ricciardo and Stroll making up the points. Hamilton out of the points at the minute. Fittipaldi 14th, Lawson 17th. The team radio has just come from Fittipaldi. I have made a big mistake. Let's have a look at this. And he just loses the back end. He gets a bit trigger happy on the throttle. And Fittipaldi does manage to get back on the track, but he loses a lot of time, does Fittipaldi. And we can see the disappointment in the rather nicely attired Team Lotus garage. And that is so frustrating for him because he's had such a decent race. Now he's back down in P16. He's knackered his tyres up as well. It has been a very difficult day for Team Lotus on their return to Formula 1. Possibly what we expected. And now they are in a battle with Kevin Magnussen for P16. A safety car is needed to get us back into points contention. We've had our first crash of the season. Oh my goodness. And it could be the two Team Lotus cars. Let's have a look what happens here. And there is contact on the first race of the season, the debut back for Team Lotus. The two drivers collide. And is this a sign of things to come? Is this a sign that it is not a happy camp already and we have got work to do? It doesn't appear that there is any damage on the cars. The driver confidence is low on both drivers, but they are pushing each other now. Is this a fight for dominance in the Team Lotus team? Because as we can see, Fittipaldi now is going for a move on Lawson. We are going to watch this with great interest because down the inside goes Fittipaldi. Lawson doesn't give him too much room. It's tight again between the two Lotus drivers. There is no inch given or asked between the two drivers. And once again, Fittipaldi's got DRS now. Is he going to go for a move on his teammate down the inside? Fittipaldi on the soft compound tyre chooses not to. They're giving each other just enough room, but the debrief's going to be very interesting. Lap 35, Fittipaldi's in very shortly. I've got to say, you shouldn't have favourites, but my word, Fittipaldi's giving this a right go against Lawson. He's currently in P14, he's coming in this lap, but what a battle these two have been having. And Fittipaldi breaks off for his pit stop. But my word, there has been contact, there has been good battling, there has been a little bit possibly going over the edge between teammates, but Fittipaldi's into the box. I felt we needed to split them up, if anything. It was like a referee in a boxing match, so it's going to be interesting, the debrief, but into the pits comes Fittipaldi for his final pit stop. Let's hope it's a decent stop. Looked a little bit slow on the front left, looked a little bit slow altogether, a 4.8 second stop. And these are the teething problems you expect from a team that is just coming back into Formula 1. This is the things that you've got to iron out. These are the things that you start to put right as we go through this career and building this team back to what it once was. But Fittipaldi is now going to be out in P19. Liam Lawson's in a couple of laps' time. Liam Lawson is cutting a frustrated figure on the radio at this moment in time, and we can see again Alexander Albon this time. Just going for a move, harvesting energy there, Lawson, and my word, he passed him like he was in a different formula there, did Alexander Albon. So disappointing for Liam Lawson, who now finds himself down in P15. He's out of DRS, and I bet he can't wait to get onto a set of fresh soft compound tyres. Meanwhile, Fittipaldi is going to be given the hurry up a little bit, but we've also got to be aware of conserving fuel at this moment as well, because at the moment we didn't have any safety cars when we possibly could have done with one. We underfueled the cars, but Lawson now is under attack from Bottas of all people, and Bottas, DRS wide open. Lawson's car is absolutely done. He needs a pit stop, and he needs it now. Fittipaldi, on the other hand, is trying to right the wrong of that earlier spin. He's seen Esteban Ocon. That's a lovely move down the inside. There have been flashes from Fittipaldi in this race. There are reasons to be cheerful. Mega, says the driver. He's been very animated on the radio as well as Fittipaldi. He's now into P18, but with cars to pit in front of him, one of which is Liam Lawson, who is pitting this lap, and we will watch him come round the final corner. He's got Valtteri Bottas in front of him, but he's going to peel off into the box. I've got to say his race engineer's been rather good. As a debut from both race engineers goes, I've been quite impressed, possibly more so than with the drivers. But Lawson into the pits, right to the very end of the pit lane. It must feel like an absolute world driving with the pit limiter on all the way to the end. But into the box comes Liam Lawson in that Lotus. Is he going to get a better stop? He certainly is. He's going to get a 2.8 second stop. It's much better than what Fittipaldi got. But Fittipaldi now into P17. He's got the undercut on him, definitely. And now Lawson comes out in P19. Now, it's what our guys can do from now on. We're going to have a rundown of the top 10 as well because everyone now has pit. So Sainz is leading from Verstappen in P2, Leclerc's in P3, then comes Piastri and Norris, a much further gap back. Perez has just set the fastest lap, but he's 32 seconds behind the leader, no less. Fernando Alonso in P7, Russell in P8, then comes Lance Stroll. Alonso's yet to pit, in fact. Hamilton in P10, Daniel Ricciardo will get into the points at this rate. So at the moment, P17 and P19 for us. Have we still got cars in front of us to pit? Bottas and Hülkenberg are yet to pit. Fittipaldi now starting to struggle, and we can see Esteban Ocon moving left and right and left, and he manages to get the move done down the outside. It's great work from Esteban Ocon, and that is him up into P17. The Team Lotus drivers are not having the best of times at this moment. It's now 18th and 19th for the Team Lotus guys, but Fittipaldi now will get DRS from the Alpine of Esteban Ocon. Liam Lawson, it looks like he's finally worked out how to drive this Lotus. He's managed to overtake his teammate Fittipaldi, and now he's all over the back of Esteban Ocon. Liam Lawson will want to finish in front of Fittipaldi here today. Beating your teammate, of course, is always a big thing, and at the moment Lawson is looking in pole position to do that. And Lawson has got Esteban Ocon. You can see Fittipaldi's not too far behind either, but Lawson does manage to get down the inside. Ocon powerless to defend from it. And now there's a Haas in front as well. We've been battling with Alpines and Haas's all day. And now Lawson is looking like he's finally starting to make some moves. And as we can see, he's also got Kevin Magnussen as well. Let's have a little look at this. Liam Lawson putting on a show towards the end of this Grand Prix, making us a little bit more optimistic for the second Grand Prix of the season, but it's a decent overtake again from Liam Lawson, and I'm hoping Fittipaldi can possibly look to following through at this moment, because Lawson now into P15. He's got Magnussen just behind him, but he's doing okay at this moment. Fittipaldi, on the other hand, he's doing his utmost to get past Esteban Ocon, and will he manage to get an opportunity here as we ride on board with the young driver? He's gaining, he pulls to the inside. Is he going to go for a move? It would be audacious if he did, and he doesn't make that move at this moment in time. We've got, I think it's 4 laps to go, because we have been lapped along with everyone up to P13 at the moment. Verstappen is now leading, but it's between Verstappen and Sainz for the win. We are going to see some errors from these young drivers. We are aware of that, but here goes Fittipaldi. We're looking to make an overtake and then just slightly locked up. It's not really anything to note about. He just took a little bit of wear out of his tyres in that Lotus car, but Fittipaldi still hanging on to the back of these in P18. Lawson now has ran for the hills. He's not going to get P14. It's P15. It's solid, if not unspectacular, from Liam Lawson, so it's pretty much job done for him now. His race is pretty much run, so it's all on now Fittipaldi, and he's behind Kevin Magnussen and Ocon. Could he possibly get up to P16? You never know. We're on the final lap, and we're going to watch this battle because we can see Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen, but Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. Verstappen looked at times like he got it won today, but he hadn't, because the smooth operator Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari wins the opening race in Bahrain. Max Verstappen comes home in P2. Leclerc will finish in P3. 2 Ferraris on the podium. Fantastic for Ferrari towards where we're fighting at this moment. Liam Lawson in P15, just making his way around the final bits of the lap. And Fittipaldi in P17 has done enough to overtake Kevin Magnussen. So there we go. We will just now watch this towards the end of the lap. And what can we say? Lando Norris now finishes, as does Oscar Piastri. Checo Perez will finish with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. It's not been the best of days for him, but he's done okay. But Liam Lawson, there's been contact between teammates. There's been good racing. There's been a lot of things to improve on, but Liam Lawson will finish his first race for Lotus in P15. We can't complain too much. And Fittipaldi, I've got to say, out of the two, I've been more impressed with today. And Fittipaldi, for his rookie race, will come home in P17. Oh, my word, it's good to be back. A lot of work to do. Let's get to the podium.
Sometimes I think you just have to accept that it's not going to be your race.
You know, I don't think many would have expected to see them finishing outside the top 10. They'll be aiming much higher than that, I assure you.
And with that, the Sainz name remains engraved in F1 history.
Their first win of the season, and the team looking on will be very proud, I'm sure.
Very proud, I'm sure, as well. The two Ferraris upsetting the apple cart there, and they actually take the gloves off on this year's game, so fantastic to see that as well. But what a start for Ferrari. Carlos Sainz winning from Max Verstappen, Leclerc in P3, Norris and Piastri giving a good showing for the McLarens in 4th and 5th, Perez in P6, Hamilton finished in P7, then it was Stroll, Russell and Daniel Ricciardo picking up the final points paying position. As we saw, P15 for Lawson and P17 for Enzo Fittipaldi for Team Lotus F1. We can't be too disappointed with that. Drivers standings wise, guess what? It's as you were, and constructors standings wise, Ferrari top it on 40 points, Red Bull in P2, and it is Williams, Haas, Lotus, Alpine and Sauber who didn't score a point. Ladies and gentlemen, the first episode of a new series. I hope you've really enjoyed that. Please remember to like and subscribe. Remember, Tuesdays and Thursdays 7 AM sharp. I hope you enjoy it, and I shall see you on this next one. Ta-ra.